What is up, guys? I'm NarendraTheComic, and right now we're just going to be reviewing, sort of reviewing. I don't want to spend too long on it, obviously, because, man, I'm lazy with the editing at this point. But I just saw Mission Impossible Fallout. Now, I had a really good experience with Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I thought it was a really good film. I like Ghost Protocol as well. Mission Impossible 2 and 3, a bit meh for me. Like 1 was a bit indifferent to 2 and 3, and I like the rest of them, and this one was no different. Now, you sort of have to suspend disbelief with this type of film and just be like, okay, well, it's Tom Cruise doing action, I'll just accept it. And if you do that, you will enjoy this film. But if you do not, you might have some problems with it. Personally, my only issue with the film, like watching it from start to finish, was like the first 10 minutes. The first 10 to 15 minutes was my only issue. There was so much exposition that they just chucked in. It was like I was watching a video essay on YouTube or something about nuclear warfare. I was like, I don't want this. Like, it's fine. I know people need to understand, but it was like significantly boring for that first 8 minutes. But after you got through that shenanigans, the entire film just flew by. Like Tom Cruise flying a helicopter, which apparently he can do now. Alec Baldwin was great. You know, I'm not going to spoil what happens in the film overall, any plot lines or anything like that, but he was really good in the film. He's a character that I enjoyed in the series, and I like him as an actor. You know, I mean, sometimes you can be too political, you know, one way or another, and maybe he's done that, but you have to disassociate what people's beliefs are from the art. Like, if there's someone who's super left-wing, you have to just disassociate them from that and be like, they're an actor or they're a musician, enjoy the art. If there's someone on the right as well who's a nutter, you have to do the same thing, you know, because art is art at the end of the day. Otherwise, the world is just gonna be so boring, alright? It's just true. Simon Pegg was the comedy relief, as he normally is, and he did a good job in that. Vin Rames had I think he had a larger role than he did in Rogue Nation. I don't think he was in Rogue Nation that much. I haven't watched it in a long time now, but I don't remember him really having that much screen time, so I'm glad he got a decent amount here. He had an arc, he had a storyline, and you felt for him at different parts of the story. And then there was Rebecca Ferguson, who was someone I really enjoyed the introduction of in Rogue Nation. I think she was solid. On reflection, I thought her performance was actually pretty weak. It was good, but I think it was overhyped. In this film, she gave a much better performance as this character than she did in Rogue Nation, 100%. She was so much more grounded, and you felt the type of storyline she was going through with this, whereas in the first one, she was just like assassin. Like, that was it. There was nothing else to it. So this one was much more fleshed out, and she had much more of a character. The action is just obviously nuts with this type of film. I know Tom Cruise broke his foot on set shooting one of the scenes where he's jumping off a building, and then he finished the scene and then was like, okay, I've broken my foot, I think I need to go now. But he finished the scene, and they included that scene in the film, and you'll see it maybe where he's hobbling a little. Man's a savage. Like, honestly, he's crazy. He's a crazy motherfucker. He's a hard man, but he's also a bit of a nutter, so I don't know where I stand with him in that case. Unfortunately, the British people in this film were super annoying and boring and not fun characters. They were not interesting at all. Henry Cavill, though, as like a CIA agent who's got more to him than you might think, it's probably my favorite Henry Cavill film performance ever. Like, he's likable, at the same time he's a bit of a prick. I don't know what he did here, but I think he should try and take elements of what he did here and implement it into Superman if he can, because there were bits here where I was like, you're doing something pricky, but like, I like you. Like, you have this aura about you in this film specifically that I haven't seen him have in any film. So whether that was Tom Cruise like beating it out of him or something, I don't know, but there was something special about his performance particularly. And this is the problem with the type of review for a Mission Impossible style film, which is you don't want to spoil the action, because some of the scenes are completely ludicrous and stuff you've never seen before. Sometimes it's a bit annoying. It's like, oh, it's right on the edge of the cliff. Stuff like, oh, we're fighting on the edge of the cliff. You don't need to fight on the edge of the cliff. Like, from both points of view, like fight in the middle of the cliff and then find a winner. Like, you don't need to go to the edge just for the sake of it. Sometimes it gets a bit annoying mentally. It's like, you don't need to do that. Just stop it. Stop it. It's like going down to the last second for a bomb. Oh wait, they did that. Again. There are very few things I disliked about this film. Like I said, it was the beginning and some of the tropes that get a bit tired after some time. One of the things that wasn't tired is how this film has this great way of going from one country to another without feeling disjointed, which is it's a tough measure because some films aren't able to do it at all. Mission Impossible in general does it seamlessly. So good job there. You've got that down to a T, as well as your theme. Just don't mess with it, please, in the future. Don't do anything with it. Don't try and be all fancy. Just keep the same theme song. Don't try this weird shit. Don't do it. I also feel that this film really sort of tied a bow around the Mission Impossible franchise. It brought in old things as well as new things, and I think it's sort of like a stop point to be like, that's the end of the old stuff, potentially like the stuff from the original 3 or 4 films, and now it's gonna be new stuff. So I don't know how many more films Tom Cruise has in him. I'm gonna be honest, it's a bit shocking at this point. He's still doing his own stunts and he's still doing this shit, but I see him going to like 60 at least, so we got at least another 2 films out of him, I guess. Maybe 3. I don't know how quick they're gonna produce this shit, but I'm excited for it, because if it's a good film, if it's fun, exciting, and they hopefully don't give too much exposition and I'm not in a lecture for the first 10 minutes, then I'm up for the next film. I will happily pay and go and see Tom Cruise jump off buildings. It's just true. And the skydiving stuff in this as well. Some things which when I watched it personally, I was like, oh, that's so stupid. Why would they do that? Like, it's just like terrible for the character. Like 3 minutes later, there was a relevance to it and it made sense. And without them doing what they did, would have just seemed like, oh, look at this, they're so fucking intelligent. So there was stuff there which was really, really clever, which made me double think things in terms of writing and stuff like that. So that was a good thing. In terms of the whole film, I thought it was great. The editing was pretty good. Scene to scene stuff was good. The cinematography was great. The action was good. The acting was actually decent. It was solid. And the development of the story really worked, which is something which you never know what you'll get with an action film, and they seem to knock it out of the park. The last thing I will say is that it is definitely better than Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I've still got to do an actual proper review on that as opposed to just like chatting. So that was a bit of a disappointment, but we're talking about this. So what would I give this film out of 10 particularly? You know, it is probably in my 10 favorite films of the year so far. I've seen about 15, 16 now. So I would say it's comfortably an enlightening 8 out of 10. It's good. It could have been better. That exposition thing at the beginning really was a slap around the face. And anyway, guys, if you did enjoy this video, please do like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel down there. If you didn't, then Ethan Hunt himself is gonna come after you. Now, if you saw the amount of killings he did in this, it's just ludicrous. Man is a killer. He's a savage. He's basically a connoisseur of killing at this point, and you don't want that. You really don't. So just subscribe anyway to avoid that. I've been NarendraTheComic. You have been great, and I'll see you next time. Skadoosh.